courses.
Sir, Patnaik sir. Patnaik sir.
Tell me.
Okay, sir. Just will now we'll start the class. I will take for 1-2 minutes. Then I will hand it over the platform to you. So, dear
Okay.
learners, so I welcome to all of you for today's class. So today is your second class, but is the MRD 102. It is the first class. Okay. So I welcome all of you for today's class. It's a very good experience because of this pandemic. I mean, you cannot go anywhere, so you are locked down in the home. So it may be a blessing or disguised. So this is given the opportunity to create this kind of platform. Okay. So sitting on the home, so you can interacting each other and you are connecting. So different part of the Odisha. So dear learners, so this is the certificate course of rural development. So yesterday the MP Das ma'am has taken a one class MRD 101. So today the Mr. DP Patnaik, he is taking the class on today. So he is a very veteran academic counselor. He is a bureaucrat. So sir has already told you since last 5 years he is taking this class. So it is a immense opportunity to listen to him, and another things. So whatever problem we'll face, it's a the class should be interactive. Otherwise, the class is not much benefited. So you should give your feedback. It's benefited to you or not, and what is the scope to improve our teaching learning process. Then next time onwards, you can create and you can create such a kind of environment. It will help to everybody. So now I'm requesting, I mean DP Patnaik sir, and I handed over the session to DP Patnaik sir. You start your proceedings, sir, and you can present. The class will go up to 4 o'clock. Start, sir.
Thank you very much, Dr. Santosh Kumar Panigrahi, sir. I'm very happy to be with you in this afternoon, and it is a privilege for me to give you the cream of the rural development, the MRD paper 102, which is the most vital and very important subject for you in this particular course. It has been decided or designed to give you the boost on the systems of how the rural development will be helpful for a common man. Not only a common man, everywhere, in every aspect of our uh, administration. In democratic form of government, the rural development plays an important role. So to begin with, the paper, you might have already have an introduction of MRD 101 yesterday itself, but now immediately coming to the MRD 102, which is the one of the most important to go deep into the rural development programs and activities, how the rural development functions in the entire country, and also it develops the the humanity of this country. So here, the rural development program basically the first chapter deals with poverty alleviation program, a reprotect, or you can say retrospect, how the poverty alleviation programs are being, elevated in the in the sphere of every state, in the villages and or even in the urban areas, semi-urban, everywhere. So the poverty is one of the most, uh, the important topic to be discussed, because the poverty never comes of its own. Poverty comes because of our laziness. The poverty is not the qualification. The poverty cannot be said it is a God's curse. The poverty involves basically in individuals' behavior, attitude, and lifestyle. One cannot say that I am poor, I cannot do anything. It is actually not a correct word for the rural development. The programs. The rural development has got a vast area of functions in different spheres and different, stages. Everywhere, every day we say we are developed. No one can say that we are underdeveloped or developing. Since the once the rural development is developed, the entire universe is developed, entire country is developed, entire state is developed, entire block or the district is developed. For example, there are so many schemes being launched by government from time to time. Most of the schemes, they are all only on pen and paper. Unfortunately or fortunately, somewhere in the at the stage of implementation, most of the programs becomes defective. And moreover, we speak so many things. Poverty alleviation, big word. Everybody thinks that we all will be elevated without doing anything. It is actually wrong notion or a concept which is actually bad in principle. The poverty elevation doesn't mean that it is particularly for a poor people who those who are in the remote areas and northern corner of the village, I mean the remote areas. It is actually everybody is responsible to elevate the poverty from this country. In this aspect, this course has been designed. If you say that poverty will be elevated by someone, maybe a bureaucrat, maybe a politician, maybe an industrialist, it is actually wrong in concept. Everybody has to have their own share how to elevate the program, I mean poverty through different ways and programs, policies, and also the methods through which everybody will lead a healthy, I mean the financially sound, not only financially, by all aspects of its development. So in the MRD 1, the rural development consists of poverty elevation program is one, that in that it comes the poverty elevation program, and again the minimum needs program, IRDP, TRIGEM and DOCRA, DIY, EAS. So what does it mean by all these programs linked together at the similarly, it resembles like similar, but it has got different activities of its own. So these are all being designed to see that the poverty elevation is removed from the clutches of the poverty where there is no uh, any I mean infrastructure or the productivity sources or the natural resources. All these things combined together, it has been designed. So let us speak about the first. As I told you, the poverty elevation is not the one man's responsibility. Overall, we have to try struggle. And again, it has been given some guidelines like the poverty elevation is needed for minimum basic needs. What are the minimum needs for the program? The basic needs generally, roti aur kapra makan. Everybody, it's a slogan. It has become everybody should be happy if they are given enough food to eat, a comfortable stay, accommodation or a house, and if they get good, I mean, living conditions, is called the minimum needs program. So everybody may have so many desires, but these are all the minimum needs that every citizen of India should get it, and that it should be provided not only by the government, by the efforts of one and all. So with the efforts of the district administration, block, panchayat level, right from the grassroots level, the efforts have been designed in different ways, the schemes, like IRDP. The IRDP is one of the most important, where the integrated rural development programs, we call it, about 3,000, 2,000 blocks have been adopted throughout the country under this scheme. So slowly every year we are going on adding 300 each programs for under the scheme of IRDP. Why this IRDP is required? The IRDP is one of the most nominating agency at the district headquarters, integrated rural development programs being scrutinized, personally inspected by a responsible officer called as rural development officer, or you can say the integrated rural development project itself, or a program where it should be implemented in the minimum needs of the people every corner. Sometimes there may be a scheme, but there is no scope, like hill areas, like desert areas, like the forest areas. The schemes may be different according to the needs of the people. This should be designed locally. The officers will sit in a meeting headed by a district collector, and they will design the program, how best they can reach to the needs of the people. That is the basic idea behind it. Not necessarily that all these schemes should be implemented at, at every block or every village for every individual. Not necessary, because of need based. As I told you, it's a need based program. So we may think if it is a needed, then one can join and one can take the benefits of this program, and one can have a right to ask for these programs in the government, as a government sector it deals with. And again, it cannot be, the government alone cannot do everything. It depends on the so many agencies, organizations like NGOs and the youth organizations, and also the panchayat raj committees, and also the blessings of the so many organizations, maybe religious, maybe I mean the trust, maybe the benefits given by the donors, industrialists, etc. So joining hands by everyone, we can have a wonderful life of development, not only in the respect of the message, I mean the messages or the guidelines, but we can do the wonderful job with our own system of activity. This is how the scheme reveals or it speaks. And the second thing is the states like the states like uh, Himachal Pradesh, Mizoram, Punjab, these are all joined in this, including union territories also included in these schemes. But it is not possible for some of the states that they include. I mean, the small Andaman, Nicobar, and Pondicherry, they have their own design of functioning of the schemes according to their needs. And again, almost all Indian states are included in these programs. So here, the other program, it is called the some of the important programs I would like to tell you. The further programs like community development programs, CPD, the National Extension Service, it has been started in 1952. So here, the rural development programs in India, chronologically, it has got a different events like there were so many trials were given how to develop the rural development schemes in India. Right from independence, we have a 5 years plan program where the important project programs and other things have been implemented in a parliament, which were implemented throughout the country. But here we find that some of the earliest the program schemes we launched that in a nutshell, I'll tell you the community development programs, CDP, the National Extent Service in 1952. So this was launched after the independence. This is one of the scheme. They thought this program may improve the quality of the life of the people in our country. Then the second one has come, land reforms in 1956, 1966. I mean, 1956 to 1966. So within the span of 10 years, the basic idea behind the land reform is actually to give the right to the each and every individual, those who are cultivating in a land which is surplus at the landlords, given to the beneficiaries, those who are working on the land. This reform has created a wonderful, I mean, development activity in those days. Then agricultural development program, this is a evergreen subject. Without agriculture, we cannot exist. So in entire country, not only in the country, in the entire universe, the agriculture has got its prominent. So the Incentive Agriculture Area Development Program, IIADP, this has been started with a view to make a good agricultural results of the progress. Then again, Intensive Agricultural Development Programs, IIDP, it has been started with the intention to give the major focus on the important cultivational, I mean the more research and advantageous cultural activities. Then high yielding varieties programs, HYV. Even today, we have a wrong concept that the farmer should only cultivate the rice. He will never go for any other things because his grandfathers they had a cultivation of land only with the rice. I mean the rice. So they do want to continue the same. If they get product of one rice, that is enough. They never think of the other these things. So the government thought, why not we develop? Why not we make a yielding of different varieties so that the agricultural activities can be strengthened and it can have 2 to 3 more crops for the development of its own. Again, the intensive agricultural development program has adopted in its place itself. Then high yielding varieties of programs, as you know, even today you will find the tree will be the coconut tree will be only 5 feet, but it will be yielding even hundreds and hundreds of the tender coconuts of hybrid. So these are all the the changes how the agricultural field go on improving its activities through research and availability of natural resources, and again to the area-specific program, these cultivational changes have been taking place. Then hill area development agencies. We have a lot of area of forest and hills, maybe rivers and water. One third of the area of the world is consisting of water. So again, a part of hill area development agency, even let us not leave the hill areas where we can have the cultivation like paddy and also the cultivation of small yielding uh, paddy also we can cultivate on the hill areas. Besides this, there are so many other short-term cultivational things also existing in the hill areas. Again, here Drought-Prone Area Development Program (DPAP). This was started in 1973 to 74. This DPAP program is nothing but when there is a drought, you have to select the short term of cultivational programs where we can just get some of the survival agricultural products. And then desert development. These are all, as you know, a continuous process. We have the no land is in waste. In fact, everywhere we'll be getting something or other thing that we have to make a the agricultural prospective product planning. Then desert development program is also there. In desert also we get some of the products. As you know, the uh, Khajur, we say. These are all the developed there in Kashmir. You'll find a lot of apple, and the area specific will say that it is for the area specific products where we'll get more yielding or more productivity. Then again, target group oriented self employment programs, small farmers development agency, even a group of farmers can develop and have their own schemes. Then marginal factories agricultural development agencies, they also do the and their support in developing these things. There are so many things we cannot now describe. It is there in the book. Just you can go through it. What are all these schemes meant for? The Women and Child Rural Development Program. It has started in 1983. We call it as DOCRA, DWCRA. Again, training for the rural youth, tourism, and we get supply of improved toolkits, Sitra, SITRA 1992. Then again, Ganga Kalyan Yojana, GYK in 1995. Then Swami Swarna Jayanti, Gramin Swaraj Yojana, SGSY in 1999. Again, wage employment programs, now crash scheme for rural development in 1971. And like that, you'll be getting go on improving every year. We are doing something or other. Jawahar Rozgar Yojana is now very famous. 1989 it has started. Even till today it is continuing. So there are so many schemes. Maybe hundreds of schemes have been given. And Scheduled Caste Development Corporation SCDCDS 1980, National SC/ST Finance and Development Corporation NSFDC 1989. Again, tribal subplan. This has started in 1991. Even there are so many schemes, so many these things are incorporated in rural development. And unfortunately or unfortunately, we are not yet developed till after 70 years of independence. So what the basic idea behind the schemes are, better you follow the norms and rules, regulations, and its policies. At the time of implementation, everybody's participation is more important. To strengthen these schemes, get the benefit of these schemes, see that every citizen of the rural area, they are benefited through some means or other, including widely nowadays we speak Social Security. Social Security, uh, NSAP, 1995, and again, old age pension, family benefits, health benefits. These are all now, it is so much and so many schemes. Everybody is coming forward to do something for these schemes, but it is a never ending process. That there should be a policy which is benefited to a poor, and it should be a poverty elevation aspect, then only it will be worth to speak about. and Million Needs Program. Minimum Needs Program, rural water is most important thing, and water supply schemes. This has started 1954 till today. You're surprised to know most of the houses they have been not provided with the proper drinking water facility. Accelerated rural waste water supply program, and again it was revised in 1992 also. The Rajiv Gandhi National Drinking Water Mission. This also started in 1986, and Central Rural Sanitation Program. This, however, now we call it as Swachh Bharat. Even the sanitation scheme, good old days started, but it is still on the paper. So now the real pickup we have taken by Swachh Bharat. So it is the same program already existing. It has now taken a new shape with even a massive, voluntary basis to solve these sanitation issues in our country. Then again, rural health is very important. The health is the wealth. If the health is gone, then everything is gone. So all our education, the whatever we develop, if health aspect is not perfect, then it has no meaning in it. The community health centers and they also rural health services and sub centers. These are all they are already existing, but without proper infrastructure or without proper manning of the doctors, whatever it is, the schemes are good, but somewhere, some of the schemes are because is not successful. But now the corona, the virus, which has given us alert that how the entire nation has become alert, and everybody is following the disciplinary cautions and the social distance or whatever it is called as the local, the lockdown, etc. These are all nothing but to save ourselves and get a good health, better health, so that tomorrow we can improve our health. So this is how this health plays an important role in rural development. If the rural development is strengthened, if the rural development is healthy, automatically the block is healthy, the district is healthy, again the state is healthy, and the entire nation will be healthy. And the social security of our country is depending on the health system. So the health is plays an important role in the rural development activities. The community should join hands and follow the principles so that will be the eradicating the major diseases like the corona and other things. So National Rural Housing Scheme, this has came into the existence in 76, 77. So this scheme is also now on the paper. Some of the housing schemes are come up. Still, India needs a lot of funds for it. The sharing between the central and state government, the more and more the housing projects should come up so that every poor man should have a good good house at least to live in, where a lot of problems can be solved of. So this is one of the important issues. In the book you just go through. If you have any doubt, I'll clarify it in later. And this concept and the minimum need program is very important aspect for your rural development course itself. So because I have to complete two blocks today, so I'm little bit hurried. The education is another aspect of the rural development. So the elementary education to speak about, it's one of the uh, important aspect in our this chapters. Then adult education, these are all the rural health. So the elementary education, compulsory education we say. So these limits will have uh, automatically. These are there in the 5 years plans. Slowly now we say Sarva Shiksha Abhijan, or the campaign of what's called the campaign for better educational benefits, primary education at the doorsteps. Like that, the educational institutions they work hard for the uh, for the different schemes. The educational schemes, so that every village should have its own school, and even the nutritious values given to the children at the doorsteps. through the Anganwadi educational system or midday meal system of education. So the elementary education is the basic concept to every citizen should have that facility. Every children should go to a school. That is the concept of the government. So this is how the education is one of the important aspects. And again comes, as I told you, the health. After health, it comes the progress of why this DOCRA, origin and objection of the DOCRA TRISM is now uh, uh, changed to national livelihood programs. So in good old days, maybe 10 years, 10 to 15 years back, this TRISM was playing an important role at the rural areas to give the tribal and rural youth in training in different aspects at their village level. But now the DOCRA is still continuing. The DOCRA is nothing but now we can say the SSD groups, the self-employment groups, those who are working for their own self-employment prospectus, and also sitting at their home, they can do some uh, products to be marketed, and through that, in our Odisha, we have the self-help groups. They are doing wonderful job at the tailoring uh, food products. Some uh, small groups consisting 15 to 20 women. They get some financial assistance like 15,000 to 20,000, and they can take loan from the banks. If they are organized well, they can do a wonderful job. So this is the new scheme. So for the women have been given utmost priority in the poverty alleviation programs. I think the day will come, we will definitely improve the quality of their products, and they will become mostly the business oriented programs made in India, for which the Prime Minister is also making efforts that made in India programs and projects should be implemented in every corner of our country, so that we need not depend on any other foreign, the other countries. We can develop ourselves with our own resources. So this, uh, uh, in respect of the uh, National Commission on Self-Employed Women and women in the informal sector. This was started in 1988. This gives you the real cream that how the woman has got a role in the uh, economic development, and through the link to DOCRA and other uh, or self-help groups successful in providing markets for the products through government. So this is the scheme where the government is thinking one day or other it will come up with a with an excellent results. So now in 93 and 94 there are so very few. If you come to the 1996-97, the groups have been multiplied, and central assistance released some 33.80 lakhs. So for the benefit of their each group's development, these are all the financial assistance provided from time to time. Even now, the government is giving them through Mahila course, and also through the other rural developmental schemes being entrusted to self-help groups, particularly like midday meals preparation or assistance to the rural panchayat level schemes like employment to the needy people, and the women can also take a lead in the development of their own particular villages. So this is how there is a drastic change. So let us think that the development will take within a couple of years, maybe a better lead. So the next scheme, I can just brief you within a minute, is called Jawahar Rozgar Yojana. What is this Jawahar Rozgar? The Jawahar Rozgar Yojana is nothing but a yojana which is called for the rural employment generation scheme, or the rural people can be benefited through this scheme. So there are so many schemes out there, but for the rural development, the schemes directly speaks that this program is meant for the rural people and how they can take the advantage of these schemes. The JRY comes in the comes after the NREP or RLEGP, the two wage employment programs, and its objective is also same, but there was some different in the process of planning and implementation. The main feature of this program is that expenditure for the program was shared by the center and the state on 80-20 percentage basis. So this is how the Jawahar Rozgar Yojana functions. So this year there is a responsibility of the state government as well as the funding received from the central government is actually, I mean, the accountability is there. So the interest of the state or the district depends on the, I mean, the state, how best the people living in a particular state are being benefited, and they should not go for migration labor and other employment, these things in such of employment. And the technicians, artisans, they can exhibit their talent and their work at their own place by getting these wages and other things. This is the major main object of this scheme. So the now the types of works allowed for JRY. What are the types? The works potential for maximum direct and continuing benefit in the members of the poverty group, and certain such aspects that can be owned by the beneficiary group, and they can have the talent in their own what's called the groups. Then higher priority is given work which is required for implementation of the poverty elevation program like IRDP, DOCRA, TRIJUMP, DDP. It is one of the same. The programs which we have earlier, now the programs implemented, more or less it is resembles equal, but JRY gives you some focus on the groups by forming a group where they are interested to complete that particular group, I mean part by joining hands. That is the only difference. So you have a statistics how we have spent the money under uh, JAY in the uh, 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 in different financial years. So these are the accountability, the progress. Even these schemes are mentioned. The population is growing like anything. The schemes are different and more, and the sanctions and allocations are very meager, which cannot meet the demands of larger in society and larger of the people, those who need the benefit of JMI. That is how the scheme is good, but it is suffering by somehow or other. Even till today, we are struggling hard to manage with the low budget to reach the maximum benefit to the rural youth, particularly under the scheme of JFI. So now I will come to the next thing, that is it's an impact program. The study says that employment assistance assurance scheme. What does you mean by employment assurance scheme? That is EAS. Now EA is also similar to JAY, but here the government made it very clear that development assistance scheme is something different, which generates employment, which gives the scope people living at their own villages, and it provides a platform of certain days like 200 240 days. It depends from panchayat to panchayat, like construction of a road, construction of a building, construction of some uh, programs, projects of particular panchayat. The sanctions are being given to them, and that can be built or undertaken at the grassroots level by employment assistance scheme. The scheme is very lucrative, interesting. Everyone can join. They need not search for a job going elsewhere, but they can get the job at their own village of 200 to 200 to 250 days, like that, according to this. And here the major role played by the panchayat committee. They have to find out what are the jobs can be given to their own laborers or the villagers where they are depending on self-employment or the self-assistance given by the government. So here this scheme is as equivalent as JRY, as I told you earlier, the benefits Gram Panchayat is fully depending on this employment generation programs. And here, this in the year 92-93, to encourage subsidized and adequate supply of food grains to the poor. Actually, instead of money, the poor people were given food. Suppose if somebody works for a day, he will be getting 5 kilos. I mean, 5 kilos of rice, 5 kilos of wheat, something like that. So now the government made it a point that they will be given not a food products, but they want to give subsidized through money or they what are financial grants given to them. Within that they will be providing the financial assistance also. So this is how the employment assistance scheme is existing, but the people, they are not interested in this scheme because they want something higher, more higher amounts for their caliber or their talent or their work, for the minimum wages for the work according to assigned to them. That is the major concept. So somehow, somewhere, we will find these are all the hurdles for what is called the uh, uh, EAS programs. There are two things. One person may be a good fisherman. The other one may be a good artisan. The another fellow may be a carpenter. So the wages given to them equally, they may not satisfy. So they have their own way of adding more and more and giving us, the rural people, the community, they have today, they expect much more from us, and somehow their expectations are many, but our limitations are very less. So sometimes these programs miserably fail. And sometimes these programs, though looks like good, but in implementation, people may not be coming forward to accept these schemes, or some people may be thinking of something else. So this is how, in some of the developing, states, this scheme is a little bit sidetracked. So we cannot force the people to join in our scheme compulsorily. That is also the very difficult. The annual budget is allocated, the accountability takes place, but we do not know how many people really benefited out of this scheme and how many people what they wanted. The feedback is a big question mark. Everybody says that we are getting more and more, but government is not giving adequate, the attention to our work. So sometimes we say we have a yardstick. We estimate everybody of but the yardstick is the people those who are living in rural areas. They have been treated with one yardstick. The people those who are in the urban areas, they have been treated in different way. The people living in the semi-urban, they have been treated with different wages, and the women are being deprived of their wages. Equal work, equal wages for equal work. These are only slogans, but it is not practically possible, or sometimes there itself is a defective in its scheme. So here we have to think of two things. One is the best method is the person who is well educated, well acquainted, well artistic way of approach, or can devote his maximum time in, income generation programs, then it is the sky is the limit for him. No scheme is required for such person who has got a talent. If you are a person who work hard, the sky is the limit for him. So all these schemes are there, but it's only a schemes for rural development students to study, the administrators to follow, the government to implement by hook or crook. But the reality, if you want to see, the reality is that we have to work hard only by which we can shine or we can meet the requirements what we desire. The desires are many, but the provisions, the schemes are very less, may not be fulfilling everybody. So that is how the schemes in rural development is sometimes a debatable system. So the programs on rural development schemes, I can share with you. Whenever you feel any doubt, you can just ask me in Unit 1. And here again, the the most important thing is the most interesting thing is the EAS, JRY, all these schemes is different from the other schemes. Here we are showing them a path for survival, not for their development. Like SC, ST, as well as the women, etc. The district collectors are authorized to release this wages component 60%. And there are some issues was bogus reporting and also the fake payments. All these things added together for its failure. But however, let us let us see the good of these programs. There is a scheme, one can survive, one can demand for his rights under these schemes to stay at his own place for the better uh, prosperity life. So this much I can say. So this now the poverty elevation, as you know, it's a challenge for every student and every educationalist and the citizen of India that unless the rural development is developed, we cannot develop further in our future. Even we may have big, uh, big scientific revolution and good power science and technology. We may go to space research, but if a areas are not developed, all our efforts will be always pulling us back. So the poverty is becomes one of the qualification or a mark to a person those who are residing at the rural areas. So we have to see that all-round development, education is the doorsteps of the people, and schemes properly utilized for the benefit of the poor. The all communities should develop equally with the schemes which are all uh, given by the government, and it should be properly implemented. Everybody has got a right to implement the schemes given to them by the government for the people, those who are at the remote areas. Because of our ignorance, because of illiteracy, because of our innocence, the schemes are just on the paper. Nobody gets benefit out of it. So you may be knowing so many things. So these are all the defects where the rural development only gives you the right way, the pathfinder, the way how to the rural people will be benefited, and the schemes through bank which can be helpful to the rural people to improve their, not only survival but their development. Let us hope every rural people should develop with a wonderful prospects of availing the schemes benefits given by the government and the bank and everybody. So the MRD 102 chapter 1 unit 1 is over now. I will go to MRD 2 unit 4. So this is closed here. If you have any doubts, please make a point. I will come back to you. I will give you a little time. We can have interaction wherever you have any doubts. These schemes, of course, it is there in the book. Let us not waste our time. You can go through these schemes. If you have any doubt in that, you can come back to me. Okay, this MRD 102 Unit 1 is over. So let me start the rural basic services and infrastructure. That is MRD 2 Unit 4. this is the topic given to me for today's class. So you can note down, and if wherever you find any difficulty, you can call me back. My number is there with the with Mr. Dr. Panigrai sir. You can contact me, or you can mail me, or whenever possible, you can just send a WhatsApp message also. So this is how the MRD2 Unit 4 I'm beginning with. What is this MRD4? I mean MRD2 Unit 4 deals with. This is also again equally very interesting topic, and it begins with the elementary education and total literacy campaign, rural basic services and infrastructure. What is this rural basic services? What do you mean by this? The rural basic service means the service provided at the doorstep of the people at the rural areas. Forget about the urban areas. Urban area people, they are very happy. They get everything. They have every, the scope for better learning, better living, better, scope of civilized life, and they have so many opportunities to exchange their ideas, views, and thoughts. But where did the rural people go? So here, the 5 years plan, the government has decided to have the rural basic services and infrastructure. Even Mahatma Gandhi was telling, if the rural India is educated, the entire country is, the entire nation is educated. The real freedom we can have when every rural people get education, good, the development, then only we can say the real democracy of India, the freedom of India. So here, the elementary education and total literacy campaign, what does it mean? Because ours is a democratic uh, country, and we believe in sovereignty. We believe in our country is socialistic democratic republic. So we have some system like electoral system of government, and we have to elect our own leader, where the every individual is responsible in formation of their government. So you cannot say, I being staying in a rural area remote, I am not a competent to rule the India. But here, every citizen of India has got a power to vote, elect his own choices person, other people, and he has got a capacity to have their own leader, so that we can represent for the betterment of the entire nation, not only the rural development, for the entire country's development in the through parliament as a or in the assembly, or through as a minister, he can represent the problems uh, of the rural mass. However, the government is keen about giving education to the rural people. That is why the compulsory elementary education or total literacy campaign, this scheme has been started. So here, why do you say the compulsory education? The education doesn't mean only by sitting at home. The compulsory education doesn't mean that only we bring the people and make them sit and go on giving the education, whether he is interested or not, or he may be and not in favor of the education. But our duty is to make him educated, because then the parliament, it has decided, the uh, the government also keenly observed that we have to make the education as compulsory, that too elementary education. That means who can sign, who can read, at least we can understand what the document says. So here, the elementary education, it has universal education. It is also known as universal education, and it has started in 1950s. So just after getting our independence, the government decided that every rural mass should be educated, and they made a what's called the national program in 1950. The directive principles of the commission is envisaged. After that, every once in 5 years, they take the statistics how the education has been provided through universities, through all other means. And here you'll find the elementary education controls are the every child every child has got a right for education, and every Gram Panchayat has got a right to have its elementary, and the government also provided midday meal educational system at every Panchayat level. So all these things, all these efforts to make the education to a, to the rural people. So these are all mostly free of cost. Government gives the focus funds for promotion of these programs, and more or less we will be thinking how this education should be implemented. Once if a person is educated, if a woman is educated, particularly the entire family is educated. Suppose if everybody becomes literate, they understand what is the and democratic principles of the schemes or the benefits given to them by the government, and at the implemented stage they can participate actively for all the resources meant for them. This is the basic reason. And now what we do is, because of our, as I told you, the innocence, ignorance, and innocence plays a vital role in the developmental activities. If you are not a, if you are illiterate, you are being cheated everywhere, everywhere. So unless you are educated, there is no meaning in democracy, because democracy is linked with the education. How? Once you are educated, you know you can select a right person of your leader, whether he is a qualified or is a good or is a good character, or he has got something ambition for the social service, and particularly service to the mankind. Particularly, he will be a rural development oriented leader, so that he can do wonders for the benefit of the. So once in a 5 years, the election takes place. Once you choose a wrong person, you have to suffer all the 5 years. You will be doing nothing, and same 5 years program should be going on repeatedly. No developmental activity takes place. This is an horrible situation. In India, we are facing the same problem. Now, hence, the Sarva Sikha Abhijan, it has taken its own steps to see that the education is promoted at the grassroots level, at the block level, at the district level. The efforts are being made by the higher education systems. Not only that, the education should be at the grassroots level. The education should be provided at every step, because the education at beginning stage, they need higher education facilities like high schools, junior colleges, degree colleges, and universities, like that, technical educational institutions. All these things clubbed as the education policy. The national policy of education, it took place in 1968. The policy is uh, uh, has got very good, and the policy has got uh, very good ideology, but at the implement stage, it takes years together. So the one problem is solved, the other problem arises. So uh, in almost all these things, all these schemes, the National Policy of Education in 1986, again the Parliament has got adopted the National Policy on Education in 1986. During the budget of 1986, the Minister for Human Resources, he has promised so many other schemes, wherever the scheme is meant for, and it has got validity of, for 5 years, and whether it is properly implemented or not, it is very difficult to know. By the time you know what are the major problems, it has got its own this thing, national system of education. This has started again in 1986. The national system has got a concept of education improvements where there is 10 plus 2 plus 3 scheme like. So these are all nationally designed for the promotion of the better education. Education for equality. The education is not meant for a particular group or caste or creed or religion. It has a equality where the education should be made compulsory and it should be facilities should be provided to every citizen of India. So the elementary education, as I told you, for every 14 below 14 years of the children, the elementary education should be made compulsory by, and the government should see that the admission should be given to them, and they will be given the books, material, course, design, teachers, buildings, etc., infrastructure. So this has become the facilities for the better education. So the rural development, most of the problems will be solved when everybody is educated. As you know, the education plays an important vital role in developing countries. So the better deal for teachers, greater responsibility. So it takes care of the teachers also. The performance is also uh, periodically judged for perfect, I mean the better implementation. So these are all related to the people's involvement, including association of non-governmental agencies, voluntary efforts. Not only the government can do everything. So these are all the efforts from the other sources also basically needed. Here what happens is the the central government has got uh, some schemes for universally for the entire country. And state governments, somehow they make some changes, they implement, include the interest of the state for their educational syllabus or systems. But the aim is the same, one and the same, that the national education policy is to be maintained. That every child should go to a school. Every citizen of India should be illiterate. That is the basic idea behind it. So the World Conference on Education for All held in the in 1960, in 1990. In 1990, the World Conference made a pledge that the education for all should be educated. Otherwise, the development we cannot say that it will be only on the paper, but real I mean development we cannot justify. So National Literacy Mission, it has been NLM. This has started in 1988. This scheme leads to the achievement 75% of literacy in 2005. So the mission, when it was launched, it has given a good result. In 2005, it has proved that 75% of the people have been educated in the age group of 15 to 35. So national program of this midday meal also, this has started in August 1995 in view to make children habit of going to school at the same time providing them nutritious food. So again, district primary education program, it was launched in 1994, where the district primary education is given to every child the age group, from the age group up to 14 years, and the program is also successfully, uh, I mean, implemented in different blocks and panchayats. National Mission for Elementary Education. This has launched in 1998. This program also is a national universal program, and throughout the country, this program was successful. Even still today, the program is being continued, and most of the people they know about the human. It is started by human resources development, and people they know about the uh, missions activity, and subnational level at the state mission level authorities they have implemented through societies and also the organizations of uh, elementary education programs. So the major objective of this program is education to be provided at the doorsteps of the people through different ways and means. Strategies of central SSA. So here we have some strategy that management structure is also there. As I told you, the center gives the schemes, states they implement through different formats and forms, and they also contribute their, the way of what's called the contribution, matching grant we call it. Sometimes the agencies also raise the maximum contributions from different sources to strengthen a particular scheme or the activity. So here, the rural development mainly deals with the elementary primary educations, and not only the primarily, the rural development should give the encouragement to these people to go for education, and besides their routine jobs, like even the woman child should be encouraged, like schemes, free education, or some scholarships, or from SC, ST minorities, backward classes, the beneficiaries, so that the education can be promoted. There should be equality in promoting the education. So these are all the basic guidelines where one has to follow, and so that the education becomes may not be today, tomorrow plays an important role in the society. So once everybody is educated, the the poverty may be lesser, or the poverty can be elevated. That is the intention of the government, and we have to do that. Maybe today or tomorrow, we must concentrate on this particular. The target groups. So here we have uh, some of the schemes like after education comes the housing. Already I told you in MRD2, the housing plays an important role. Indira Awas Yojana. These Yojana schemes are there. Their objectives are and rural housing. We have also the TAY. It is meant for the target groups, not for everybody. So the selection of beneficiaries actually meant the identification and the selection will be done at the panchayat level, and those names will be recommended to the block. From block, the grants will be released, and under the supervision of the uh, government organizations at the block level, the JAY schemes are being implemented, and more or less the priority is given to the uh, displaced persons, economically backward, and also the BPL cardholders, and also SC, ST minority, like that, in a what's called different stages for different community-based people. So after every year, some thousands of JRI schemes are being launched and implemented. So after few years, I think every citizen in India will live in a good house where his health and living span of life will be increased. So this is the idea behind the scheme. So here the people, those who are in below poverty line, they are called the list district. So the uh, people below the poverty line, as I told you, the list of disaster reinsurance constructions, teachers, that is another thing. Funds available for JAY for village. For every village may not get full funding for the entire beneficiaries. JAY guidelines criteria is to be followed for beneficiaries. The Government of India signs bond displayed on the allocated issues. The houses will be informed to the Government of India also, the funding issued by them, and also the an equal grant given by the state government. Information about the cost, sources, implementing agencies involved in the construction of houses. Information about the availability and distribution of funds, and also the program needs, JRI, and again release of funds, overall guidelines, policies making and monitoring evaluation of the program. For all these things, the monitoring and evaluation is also more important, where you can have a checks and balances that how many people are left behind and what should be schemes given for them for the better prospectus of better implement of the scheme. So this is how checks and balances is needed every point of time. So very interestingly, we may plan for I mean, 1 lakh houses, and in the next year, the demand will become 2 lakhs. So on, the demand will be going on improving, increasing, and whereas our funds allocation comes become deficient. So the scheme cannot be completed even years together. So it is always as wise that the needy people should be given top priority, and the people those who are with somehow they can survive can be given less priority basis, or you can do the equal. The all BPL card holders should get a minimum house. Those who do not have a house at all. So these some heuristics should be followed for the scheme instead of throwing mud on each other, one and each other. So this the interesting thing is the rural development is a vast subject. You cannot have a time. If we go on reading one subject or other, the other rural development programs comes. Nowadays, every farmer in the village, by farmer, every family in the village, they need a smartphone. They need electronic device. Everybody wants a minimum needs like a TV, camera, mobile, latest technology, even for the cultivation and everything. So to meet all these things, there should be a systematic planning. What are the subject we have prepared for the rural development may not be that lucrative or interesting, and the interesting will be the things which are all now minimum basic needs warranted people to have to lead their better living conditions. That is more important. So let us plan how the rural development should be linked with the modern developmental activities. Then only it has got a charming. Then only the people will come to us. Then only the subject rural development is becoming a worth listening interesting topic. Then only the government will get, the what is called the benchmark or the priority or the demand, whatever you can say, the brand ambassador, and it takes the platform in the hearts of the people of rural mass. These are all the requirements nowadays. We are now speaking of all about the good olden days. That is no problem. That is no reality nowadays. Nobody does farming without profit. No farmer will come without getting the benefit of bank loan or the technology of the latest or the guidelines by research and other things. So there needs a lot of changes. Who will make the change? We are here to change the topics, needs, requirements, minimum needs. And now what are all we are talking is the a household will get 15,000 rupees, 25,000 rupees. Can you imagine a good DIY house, JIY house, or in Indra Awas Yojana house? No, no, because we have no living conditions. The house is very congested. There won't be a sanitary latrine and other smokeless chulas and other basic health needs. There is no ventilation. So all these things clubbed together is called the modern lifestyle is needed to be changed in the rural, even in the rural areas for better living standards. And then only the subject rural development may a revolutionary subject for the people of the So here, what the target groups? For us in rural development, the target groups are mostly BPL, farmers, the villagers, or the youth, those who are living in the rural areas. So here, the benefits are to be identified. What are the benefits meant for these people for the better rural development programs? So here we cannot have everything overnight to give them benefits, whatever is required. So we have to make a plan. So in every financial year, there should be a proposal which should be given top priority, which villages needs what sort of, the schemes to be implemented. Like roads, some villages may have facility of drinking water. Some people may have the facility for road connectivity or transportation. Some people may ask for the educational facilities, health facilities. All these things clubbed together, we have to give priorities. Those are to the priority and implementation of the particular schemes, short-term schemes preferably. Then only the scheme will be engaged. So, uh, how a Grameen Awas component of PMGY. There will be a secretary works department. There will be additional secretary. Then comes advisor to rural development, joint secretary rural development, director. All these people get together and they decide what should be done, what should be allocation of funds, how then they are the competent bureaucrats to give the priority schemes to be implemented. So these are all the basic needs one should know while dealing with as a professional in rural development. So here again, we speak about rural health care. This I already told you what is the rural health care, what should be our efforts, and how we can make this scheme most perfect of the powerful. Of course, this rural health scheme was healthcare was only old concept. There are so many years past we are going on telling rural healthcare, but the real rural healthcare is yet to be taken care. Now the Swachh Bharat, the scheme which changes all the the rural health programs. This I already told you in the MRD 2 unit 1. So it is only a repeated subject. Still then, the Swachh Bharat is good example of the rural healthcare, and not that the healthcare is necessary for urban, and poverty healthcare is also needed. That is where there is low productivity, poverty is there, and also sickness of the poor and inadequate nutrition, poor sanitary conditions, crime, violence, drug, etc. These are all should be kept in mind where we can concentrate for the rural health care. So the rural health care is a very typical subject to deal with because in some places the epidemic is something different, and in some hill areas you'll get a peculiar type of diseases, immunity problems also there. In forest areas, we have a lot of problems with the mosquitoes and other these things, malarial, this thing. There are some waterborne diseases also. So all these things, it depends on area specific. And also the seasonal diseases are more prone or common in our country. So some of the diseases which are all comes disappears after some time. By all means, we have a systematic way of healthcare, that is react or act according to the situation and needs. Sometimes suddenly there will be a diarrhea, smallpox, or maybe malaria. So to treat to address all these issues, the health system should be always be prepared to deal with. For the country like India, it is very difficult to provide health care system, healthcare facility to every village because no roads, no facilities of doctors, infrastructure, all other things are also added to it. But we can quick and simple, diagnosis. At least we should have 2 to 3 panchayat, a major health center where one can join and one can get the benefits. So these schemes are had to be addressed or had to be completed throughout the country. And the organization structure is also more important. So the present system of healthcare is basically for child care. We address for the women care, child care, and also for the, as I told you, the basic symptoms and basic need health care programs to be clarified. And the poor should get the benefits at, through different government schemes. That is more important. So the Anganwadi or the ANM or the ASHA worker, they are they are meant for this to address these things, but they should be given good handful of infrastructure, medicines, and also the accessibility to address at the time of crisis and disasters. So these are all the health issues and problems. This rural development with a top priority for the importance of water, sanitation, rural health, economy, and development. These are all joined together while addressing the health. Suppose if there is no money, no health. If there is no economy, we cannot proceed. There is no development means there is no proper health, there is no development. If everybody is sick, what development will take place? So these are all the linked together where we can very carefully observe that these things are being addressed not only in common in a systematic way. So you may be asked a question like what care should be taken at the rural development for health. So you will get number of doubts. What should be addressed? What should be the first? What should be the next? But it is interlinked. Good water is required. Good sanitation is required. Good infrastructure is required. Economy should be there. All these things joined together is called healthcare. It cannot be healthcare individually cannot do solve the problem of rural development. So and there were some schemes like Rajiv Gandhi National Drinking Water Mission and social project policy and strategy. Social, you can have groundwater projects also. These are all being undertaken by the government. Giving safe drinking water is the government's responsibility. So there are plans, schemes, but delayed at several places because several offices because of so many other reasons. So how how to control sanitation in rural India? The sanitation comes out of the awareness. So the rural campaigns should be organized where the people should be involved and they should be given proper education how to make their village neat and clean, away from diseases, sanitary facilities. Everywhere a household should have a sanitary conditions of uh, Swachh Bharat schemes to be explained to them. They should have a laboratory. They should they should have a dustbin thing like that they can dispose of. So all these things clubbed together is called the sanitary sanitation in rural India. If the sanitation is not good, the diseases are there. It may prone to different types of diseases. Maybe in the seasonal ways, seasonal means also. So one should be prepared that always the village should be kept neat and clean and sanitational conditions with proper I mean seasonal prone diseases, medicines for that, first aid kits, and also consultation with the health experts from time to time. So these are all the things where we can uh, make a strategy of rural development. So here in the last chapter speaks about the rural electrification and energy. What do you mean by rural electrification? Electrification means every village should be illuminated, or the electricity should be provided to each and every village. That is the government's decision at the center, and it should be implemented at the state level, and there should be a proposal from block level. However, each and every village should be provided with electricity or the energy source. The alternative is, as you know, so solar energy is again if there is no electricity is reaching to a particular village, the other source is solar energy, like any other energy, wind energy. These are all one of the remedies for it. But if a village has to be developed, the electricity is compulsory. Without energy of electricity, the industries, small scale industries, the the life of the villages will become miserable. Even for the children to educate and get educated, electricity is required, and even for the agriculture, all sorts of life for the development, the electricity is compulsory for the benefit of the rural development. So what is its objective? How the rural energy is being planned. So in 1951, the first 5 years plan itself, the areas were considered to get the electricity in a phased manner, or you can say the priority manner. So electricity for all is the slogan. It was given in 1951. The program in India and the issue of facing the program to meet the objective of providing uh, electricity to every household. And again here, the PMGY along with other institutional these things, the the energy distribution system was made liberal to to reach the and the areas where there is like hill areas and forest areas, and also the unreachable areas, etc. And we have given statistics, electricity for the households, total households, and also the percentage, and also we have uh, rural house. I mean the schemes distributed in the different states. But the statistics alone will not do. The statistics will really speak REC, rural electricity corporation or energy corporation. They have got a statistics. They say that every household will be provided with electricity within a span of 5 years. But still today we find number of the villages, they are still in darkness. I don't know what is the reason behind it, but it is a very difficult, because sometimes the authorities they find difficulty in putting the electrical poles to reach a particular village, or some of because of the disaster they go on putting substations, major stations, but they get damaged. There are so many reasons how the scheme is there in the government plan, but miserably fails. And here now, non-conventional energy for rural areas has been taken prominent steps for better also. But here, integrated rural energy management is more important. So where there is a thought, idea of giving energy to the rural areas, and there should be proper management, not only government. The management should come out of the grassroots level. They should cooperate. There should be the connectivity should be there. How best it will reach even to the far and far from the villages which are all isolated or remote in remote areas. So these are all the management systems where they have to function and to provide the better electricity to the villages. And rural energy, sometimes we can produce energy of our own at our doorsteps, and that energy can be solved by combining hands with the voluntary organizations or maybe local youth organizations. By any means, the collective effort should be given, taken uh, through management, with the help of the management to make these resources, useful for the rural areas. So uh, the most interesting thing is the minimum services of electricity, basic needs of the people, the electrical, what's called uh, energy is more important. And again, funding partners for Kutir Jyoti program. There should be agencies that can voluntarily fund for the successful of success of this electricity program. And the government of India has announced a subsidiary budget for 2023. Again, they are giving frequently the subsidy through rural development, NABARD, and other agencies, banks also. So the Rural Infrastructure Development Fund also funding for this rural electricity purpose. So once the village is electrified, the difficult, the benefits are plenty. One can have his own rozgar at their own village. So these are all the benefits for um, REC, the Rural Electrification Corporation of India. They are the main organizations to provide electricity to each and every village. And also, they should see the project should be implemented in a specified particular time. So that is more important. And here you have some what's called the rural roads also. That plays a vital role. The Atal Bihari Vajpayee's resume, the the government has taken a very good decision. Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana, that is called PMGSY, in the connecting all the rural areas to the national highways in fifth financial year plan, that is 1974-79. This is a wonderful job. If there is a road connectivity from from the village to the nearest national highway or to the main roads, then the business automatically improves. The life style of the people will be automatically, it will be improved. The transportation becomes easy. The roads, when the road connectivity is given for every citizen, even in the midnight, the village becomes like a active and also the developed, because when there is a a good Sadak Yojana roads are there, connectivity, the people will come from different places to your village. And your people can go without fearing much difficulty to any other village if there is a connectivity. And the development automatically takes place by not only business, economically, educationally, and improving scientifically, agriculturally, and there is a scope of small scale industries or medium scale industries, or the people can be hired or engaged in production, and the dream of Make in India will be a big success. A big success not only in the terms of electricity, but in the terms of the development. So the rural area can develop only all these things are developed together. Even there's a one single Hajar, the rural India may not come up. So these are all the basic needs, and also the agencies also have a what's called committees. They should think of what is priority to the village development, and they should have planning. The road works should be taken. Not that a road is laid today, after a year the road disappears. That should not be the scheme. There should be a proper uh, understanding. Execution of the work should be properly implemented. That is called the works assigned. uh, and stabilization, the concrete, the material used in it, quality assurance we call it. So these are all the some of the topics which we have discussed, and we lost management, training, capacity building. Sometimes what happens, we think so many things, but if there is no capacity, all the projects will become failure. And there is also is a basic need that evolution, training, capacity building, all these things get together, make the rural development programs more strengthened, and also this will have impact on the national development. So now I would like to sum up. Both the papers are over, and now it's a time for you. If you have any doubt, you can ask me questions, or you can mail me what exactly how you understood it.
So, dear learners, if you want to ask any question to sir, so please kindly put for their question.
So one question for the learners. During my hello,
So you go ahead, sir.
there is a question from my side. What do you understood the concept of rural development? Any one of you can answer? I taught you for about 2 hours, and throughout I was telling about the rural development. Do you have any idea, any concept which you feel that what you understood by the rural development topic? Anyone? No answer. Yes. Any? Hello? Can you hear
Yes, sir.
me?
Yes, sir. Yeah, they're hearing you, sir, but they have to speak. If anybody want to speak, they can
Ah,
unmute the mic and then they can speak.
acha,
But they are hearing you.
acha. Can you mention one of the rural development scheme which you are interested? The scheme that inspired.
Please, learners, speak what sir is asking because he is already take a class of 1.5 hours. So please can interact with sir. If you have any doubt, if you not understood, and what you understood now, you should interact with sir. Then only the teaching learning process will complete. If it is one way, there is no meaning at all. So please kindly speak, na. Because sir has already taught you so many things. Okay, carry on. Anybody want to answer sir, what sir asked? किछि के पचारिबो कि किछि कहिबो अरे फील फ्री टू स्पीक यार
अच्छा ए कोर्स विषय रे किछि जानिचो ए कोर्स करले कोन यार फायदा एडवांटेज कोन जानिचो
अरे किछि तो कुह नो क्वेश्चन
Nice, sir. No question.
गुड
at least interact with sir na you should interact what you understood what you I mean already taught you for 1.5 hours so at least you should ask anything and you should put some suggestion which way it will develop and what requirement is there to put something on the new I mean platform you should speak something on that na
क्लास ता भल लागले
only
कि
keep
नहीं
on, only keep on listening give some suggestion to sir give some comments no sir I require this to develop हमको एया दरकार आ टिके डेवलप करिया पे कि एटा भल लागिला कि एटा खराब लागिला सर आस्क व्हाई यू आर टेकन दिस एडमिशन दिस कोर्स रूरल डेवलपमेंट कोर्स रे काई एडमिशन करिचो सेटा तो कुह काई इंटरेस्ट अछि कि कोन नै
क्लास ता भल लागले कि नहीं
स्पीक समथिंग ना इफ इट शुड बी इंटरेक्टिव को
नमस्कार आज्ञा हमर क्लासटा
हां को
सर क्लासटा भल लागिला नुआ माने इंग्लिश मीडियम रे नुआ मु सर ऑनलाइन क्लास करछि सर क्लास टिके मु बुझि पाउछि तापर या किछि को डाउट रोज माने
नहीं
सब एमति गोटे
सुनो
जिंस वाडा
सेहिति
मते
पई
टिके टिके
जदी
सर कन्फ्यूज
नहीं सेहिति पई जे तमे भाउछ नै ना मोटी ओडिया मीडियम दरकार सजेस्ट टू सर स्पीक बोथ इंग्लिश एंड
ये
ओडिया because sir can speak odia also that so input टा तो मिलले तो सर चेंज करिवे नाही सर हम इंग्लिश हम डिफिकल्ट होची टी ओडिया मिक्स अप करंदु जहां भी सजेशन दियो नेक्स्ट क्लास नेला बेले से सही सर प्रिपेयर करिवे within your expectation they will speak on that ना तम मानको कोन दरकार तमे माने कोन आ सर अधिक चाहूच हमर प्रॉब्लम कोन प्लस कोन माइनस कोन एटलीस्ट यू शुड इंटरेक्ट विद द टीचर then next class he can improve
तुम जदि किछि कहबो ताले आ वन साइडेड रे जो मु खाली पढि देखि जाइतिबी त किछि बुझि नथिबो लाभ कोन हला बरं जेतिकी बुझिबो सरल भाषा रे दरकार पड़ले ओडिया रे भी कहि देबी आ दरकार पड़ले बुझे भी देबी जेतिकी
आज्ञा
गप माध्यम रे साइटेशन एग्जांपल भी देबी किंतु तमे कोन जानिचो मु जानले सना मु कहबी आ जो जगह असुविधा होची मु जानते जानिया पड़िबो ना काहे मु तुम देखि पारुनी देखिथिले मु नाची गीत गीत गाय के नाची के एक्टिंग करके तुम माइंड रे बुझे देता किंतु से सुजोगटा नाही तमे कहबो ना कोठी प्रॉब्लम होची कोठा बेसी इंटरेस्टिंग लागुची कोठी बोरिंग लागुची जेतो एटा मते सारियो पड़ियो 2 घंटा भितरे मु मोर स्पीड रे पळेली बुझलो कि नाही आ कोठी असुविधा अछि जेबे नोट करके मते जणाइबो ना ठीक अछि सब्जेक्ट केमते लागिला मूल मूल कथा हला सेटा आ कोठी बुझि पारले
सब्जेक्टटा टिके टिके फॉलो करता आज्ञा
आ टिके ओडिया रे कहि देबी
आज्ञा
ठीक अछि पूरा ओवर भी बुझे देबी रूरल डेवलपमेंट डेटा कोन पे हमको दरकार के करते राइट आ कोन असुविधा होची बुझी होची तो मुझे एते हाई इंग्लिश कहूनी साधारण सरल इंग्लिश रे कहिची इंग्लिश टा बुझ परलो तो ना नाही
बुझि पारछु आज्ञा टिके गोटे डिफिकल्ट लागुची गोटे जिंस
हां तो भल लागनी सेटा को मते जणाइबो ना सर ए जगह टा बुझी होला बुझी मु तो अछि सेति पई तमे जदि बुझी परिबे नै लाभ मु पढे की लाभ कोन एते सब काहे कि हमें पंचायत करी तेणु जो जगह बुझी पारुन नोट करिवो मु कहम सर ए जगह बुझी होला आ सब पुणी पढ़ी परिबे ना सेटा
आज्ञा
आ ए सिस्टम रे पढ़ायाटा भल लाଗୁଛି ना तो क्लास
भल
में
लागुची सर गोटे आज्ञा
आउ टिके आर क्लास को आउ टिके भलो ये कर आर क्लास को टिके डेवलप करिया ओडिया रे चाहे भी कर हां कोन नमिता
anybody wants to ask any question? How किसी का doubt?
हेलो सर
हाँ कौन दो
हेलो
कौन दो
सर सबु प्रोग्राम मान रूरल डेवलपमेंट प्रोग्राम मान को भितर ईएस नेसेसरी कोन पे प्रोग्राम
ये माने कोन भागलो बुझलो
सर ईएस नेसेसरी ईएस प्रोग्राम नेसेसरी कोन पे सब
मु बुझ पानी एटा कोन पॉवर्टी एलिवेशन रे
सर
ये सोची पॉवर्टी एलिवेशन प्रोग्राम
सर
एटा कोन जाउ छ एटा गोटे स्कीम ईएस हला ये स्कीम रे करो हेलो कैन यू हियर मी
आगे सुन यस सर
ये चाहते बहुत ही एलिवेशन प्रोग्राम रे ईएस प्रोग्राम जोटा कि जो मन कर निहाती आवश्यकता रही छी माने टारगेट ऑडियंस माने ये स्कीम रे आकुचंती हला सेमन को पई ई योजना को आगुई आमे बहुत एलिवेशन समस्त दे परबानी ता भीतर अछंती बीपीएल एससी एसटी इकोनॉमिकली वीकर सेक्शन या भीतर ईएस प्रोग्राम टारगेट और ग्रुप पई एट करा जाय छी जो तरे कि 80% ऑफ द 20% राज्य सरकार ए स्कीम टा कॉमन स्कीम फॉर एवरी बेनिफिशियरी हला और ए स्कीम रो भूमिका होची anyone can avail this program anyone across the country जो मैंने बीपीएल कार्ड मैंने they can avail this scheme हला
सर थैंक
एम्प्लॉयमेंट एश्योरेंस स्कीम भी हुआ जाए आको ही ए स्कीम जरिया रे निजे चाकरी चाकरी रो सुयोग रही छी एठी जेठी न जाय कि तमे जे रो विषय जगह रोजगार और ये एसरो एम्प्लॉयमेंट एश्योरेंस स्कीम रही थी जो हमने बीपीएल कार्ड होल्डर जो गोटे गाँव में रोचंती कौन सी जदि रोड तैयारी काम कि बिल्डिंग कंस्ट्रक्शन पंचायत काम गुड़ा रही एगुड़ा एम्प्लॉयमेंट एश्योरेंस स्कीम माध्यम रे ए काम सरपंच से मन को नियुक्ति दे परिबो से कामटा को 10 दिन कि 15 दिन रे करिवे कि तांको 240 दिन भीतर से कामटा सारिया को पड़िबो ना ये एम्प्लॉयमेंट एश्योरेंस स्कीम
सर बुझ थैंक यू सर
आउ कर किसी क्वेश्चन अछि
सर सर मोर क्वेश्चन है कि कोर्स तरफ सरीबो कंप्लीट हिस्सा करे ए कोर्स थ्रू हमर एम्प्लॉयमेंट ପାଇଁ କିଛି हम स्कोप में कोर्स रे केमती जॉब हमको माने एमती अप्लाई कर पारिबो
जो कोर्स है बहुत पावरफुल सर्टिफिकेट कोर्स इन रूरल डेवलपमेंट तमरो मास्टर डिग्री जे कोनो सब्जेक्ट रे भी थाओ जदि रूरल डेवलपमेंट अच्छी समस्ते तुम सर्टिफिकेट को आदर करेंगे ग्रहण करेंगे रिकॉग्नाइज करेंगे से जानवे जे ए पिलाटे वीडियो ये तहसीलदार कलेक्टर पर्यंत जदि रूरल डेवलपमेंट अच्छी माने से तुमको से गोटे अन्य प्रकार रिकग्निशन देवे जमती एमबीबीएस रे जे कार्डियोलॉजी करछि स्पेशलाइजेशन तार कोन हेगला हार्ट डिसीज पे कमेंट आसगला जमती एतिर कोन सी डिसीजेस हेले हमें खोजिबा कार्डियोलॉजिस्ट को सेमती रूरल डेवलपमेंट रे जदि किछि काम थाए से माने खोजिबे आम मान को जो मैंने आम रूरल डेवलपमेंट रे सर्टिफिकेट पाइछु पढ़ीछु बैंकिंग रे इंटरव्यू गला बेल को रूरल डेवलपमेंट जदि बैकग्राउंड अच्छी नाबार्ड स्टेट बैंक रिजर्व बैंक आ सब नेशनलाइज्ड बैंक रे फील्ड ऑफिसर नियुक्ति पाई मास्टर डिग्री इन रूरल डेवलपमेंट किंबा सर्टिफिकेट इन रूरल डेवलपमेंट रो बहुत 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 मूल्यवान अछि हला माने बिना इंटरव्यू कम मार्क रहे भी आगे नहीं जीवन से टेक्निकली यू आर द एक्सपर्ट.
Thank you, sir.
I'll carry it out. Am I interesting लगला क्लास टा? हेलो
सर बहुत भलो थिला क्लास
भल लागला सर
दिवस ना
So
ना को
great
हेलो हेलो
they are listening to you. You start speaking.
हेलो आओ कौन डाउट अछि की?
So if not, then we'll end up the class.
हेलो
If you want any, जदि कार किसी क्वेश्चन अछि पचार नले क्लास वाइंड करिवा. So dear learners, so now we are closing the session. So tomorrow the MRD 103, okay? So that session will start at 4 o'clock. So kindly circulate this message to all of your fellow learners. So more and more numbers should participate in the counseling classes because now you have no work, sitting idle in the home. So it's a free time. Take as much as possible because this is a new kind of, learning skill. So because you never organize a online counseling session, it's also new kind of things for us also because first time you are experimenting this. So because if number is not more, then it's also not interesting for us. So my dear learners, I request all of you to attend more and more number. So thank you very much. Thank you, sir, Patnaik sir. So now I'm winding up the session. Thank you very much, sir.